There is a quiet truth most of us avoid. You don't suffer because life hurts you. You suffer because you keep holding what was meant to pass. We pick up moments that were never meant to stay. An old regret, a forgotten promise, a version of ourselves we've long outgrown. Once, they were small. Now they sit heavy on the heart. Life becomes a bag of stones we carry everywhere we go. Past mistakes, expectations, people who already left, conversations that ended long ago. We hold them tightly, believing we must, yet each one weighs on the chest like a quiet ache we can't name. But what if letting go has nothing to do with forgetting? What if it simply means putting the stones down so you can finally walk freely again? The Buddha taught that freedom does not begin when life becomes easy. It begins when we release our grip on what hurts. Suffering isn't created by the world. It grows from the tension inside us, from the belief that we must carry every memory, every disappointment, every version of ourselves that no longer reflects who we are today. In this video, I'll share the Buddhist wisdom that helps you loosen the inner knot, stop carrying what isn't yours, soften the parts of you hardened by struggle, and return to a peace you forgot you had. So take a breath, let your shoulders fall just a little, and allow yourself to settle. Let's begin the journey of letting go, gently, softly, one moment at a time. 1. The invisible burden. What you carry without noticing. Most people don't realize how much weight they're carrying, because the heaviest burdens are rarely the ones we can see. Imagine walking through life with a bag slung over your shoulder. Inside, it are small stones. Nothing dramatic, nothing obviously painful. A comment someone made years ago. A moment where you felt unseen. A dream that didn't unfold the way you hoped. A memory you haven't forgiven yourself for. At first, each stone is light, barely noticeable. But over time, the bag fills, and without realizing it, your whole body adjusts to the weight. Your breath tightens. Your heart grows guarded. Your mind becomes restless. This is emotional residue, the silent accumulation of moments you never allowed to move through you. Buddhism teaches that suffering does not begin with the pain itself, but with the holding, not the moment that wounded you, but the moment you clenched around it. Much of this holding is unconscious. We grip past experiences without realizing the tension we create. The Buddha described this as the mind grasping at what has already passed, trying to make permanent what was always meant to be temporary. When you resist the natural flow of experience, the past becomes tangled in the present, and suffering quietly roots itself within you. Modern psychology reveals something similar. The amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, stores unresolved emotional memories, like unprocessed stones. Even if you've forgotten the event, the body remembers the feeling. The amygdala keeps replaying old patterns, whispering, "Be careful. This hurt once, even when you're safe." This is why certain situations trigger you unexpectedly. You're not reacting to today. You're reacting to the stones you never put down. The invisible burden you carry isn't a sign of weakness. It's simply the mind doing what it learned to do, protect you. But protection can turn into imprisonment when the past is never allowed to leave. The path to freedom begins with noticing the weight you've normalized and realizing you were never meant to carry it forever. 2. The inner knot, how clinging forms inside the mind. If you've ever held a rope and pulled both ends tight, you've seen how quickly a knot forms. The mind works the same way. Fear pulls from one side, desire from the other, and somewhere in the middle, the knot of clinging takes shape. It doesn't appear suddenly. It tightens slowly, every time you grasp for certainty, every time you resist change, every time you cling to a version of life you're afraid to lose. What begins as a gentle loop becomes a hardened knot, one you carry inside your chest, often without even realizing it. Much of this knot begins in childhood. We learn, long before we can understand, what gives us approval, what keeps us safe, and what makes us feel valued. These early patterns weave themselves into our ego identity, the story we build about who we must be in order to belong. Later in life, when situations challenge these old stories, the mind tightens. It clings to what is familiar, even if that familiarity brings pain. The ego would rather hold a knot it knows than open to freedom it cannot predict. This is why letting go feels so frightening. Freedom is spacious, uncertain, undefined. The mind calls it danger. Familiarity, even when it hurts, feels like home. We cling not because the past is good, but because the unknown feels overwhelming. The knot is a survival mechanism, but it also becomes a prison. Buddhist teachings describe clinging as a form of mental contraction. The mind shrinks around fear, gripping tightly to ideas, identities, relationships, and expectations. This contraction is what creates suffering, not the event, but the inner tightening around it. The more tightly the mind contracts, the harder life becomes. Every change feels like a threat. Every loss feels like collapse. Every uncertainty feels unbearable. But here is the gentle truth. A knot can loosen the moment tension is released. The mind doesn't need force. It needs softness. When you recognize the knot, breathe into it, and allow the grip to ease, the mind begins to open again. What once felt like a prison becomes a path toward freedom. 3. The river. Truth. Understanding impermanence. Imagine stepping into a flowing river. The water that touches your feet in this moment is gone the next. No matter how still you stand, the current continues to move, fresh, unpredictable, alive. This is the nature of impermanence. Life is not a lake that stays the same. It is a river that never pauses. Moments, emotions, people, seasons. Everything is constantly shifting, evolving, becoming something new. Yet the human heart tries to freeze the flow. We want good moments to last forever and painful moments to disappear instantly. But the river does not obey our wishes. It moves according to its nature, not our preferences. Change is not the exception. It is the rhythm of existence. And yet, when life shifts, we resist. We dig our heels into the riverbed, trying to stop the current with our willpower. But resistance does not stop the water. It only exhausts the one resisting. Suffering arises not from change itself, but from the mind's refusal to let the river move. When we hold on to what was, we are swept away by what is. When we fear what is coming, we lose the peace available in this moment. Impermanence becomes painful only when we insist that life stays still. Even neuroscience reflects this truth. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, adaptation, and future planning, understands change logically. It knows that life evolves. But the limbic system, especially the amygdala, craves safety and familiarity. When life shifts, the amygdala sends signals of danger, even when nothing harmful is happening. This is why a simple change in routine can trigger unease, or why losing something familiar feels like losing a part of yourself. The brain mistakes change for threat, even when change is simply life being life. Buddhism teaches that peace comes from stepping into the river willingly. Instead of resisting the current, we learn to move with it. Instead of clinging to the bank, we allow life to carry us where we are meant to go. When you stop fighting the flow, something softens inside you. The river doesn't drown you, it guides you. And the moment you trust its movement, you begin to feel the freedom that impermanence was always meant to offer. 4. When love turns into holding. Attachment in relationships. Picture a small bird landing gently on your open palm. As long as your hand is relaxed, the bird rests comfortably, feeling safe in the softness of your presence. But the moment you close your fist, trying to hold it, trying to keep it, trying to guarantee it won't fly away, the bird panics, it struggles, it suffers, and eventually it leaves. Love works exactly the same way. Love flourishes in an open hand, but it suffocates in a closed one. Most attachment in relationships doesn't come from affection. It comes from fear. Fear of losing someone. Fear of not being enough. Fear that if you stop trying so hard, the connection will disappear. This fear quietly transforms love into holding. We start clinging to the person instead of connecting with them. We start trying to control outcomes rather than embracing presence. And instead of experiencing love as nourishment, we begin to experience love as tension, a constant effort to keep something from slipping away. But genuine affection has a different texture. It doesn't demand, it doesn't grip, it doesn't enforce conditions. Real love says, I want you to grow, even if that growth changes things between us. It allows both people to breathe. It understands that closeness is not maintained by force, but by freedom. Buddhist non-attachment often gets misunderstood. Some believe it means emotional distance or shutting down feelings. But Buddhism teaches a warmer truth. Non-attachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the ability to love fully without trying to chain the experience to permanence. It is the freedom to let people change, evolve, and be themselves without making their choices a threat to your worth. Non-attachment is love without fear. It is sitting with an open hand, allowing the bird to come and go, trusting that what is meant to stay will stay, not because you force it, but because it feels free with you. When love is offered through freedom rather than possession, relationships deepen naturally, hearts soften, boundaries become gentle, and connection becomes something sacred, not something controlled. 5. The softening practice. How to release without rejecting. Letting go often feels harsh because we mistake it for rejection. We fear that if we loosen our grip, we are abandoning someone, dismissing our feelings, or pretending we don't care. But real release isn't cold. It's soft. It's gentle. It's the opposite of pushing away. It's simply easing the tension around something your heart has been holding too tightly. This is where open palm awareness becomes a powerful practice, a way to let go without shutting down your compassion, to release without losing connection. Begin by sitting quietly, allowing your breath to settle. You don't need perfect posture. You just need to be present. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable. Let your awareness move inward, not to change anything, but simply to notice. Ask yourself softly, what am I gripping right now? It might be a person, a memory, an expectation, a fear, or a story about how things should have been. Don't judge whatever appears. Just recognize the weight you're holding. Now bring one of your hands into your awareness. Imagine that the thing you're gripping is resting inside a clenched fist. Feel the tightness. Feel the effort it takes to hold on. Then, with a long, slow exhale, imagine your fingers gently uncurling. Imagine your palm opening, not to drop anything, not to force anything away, but simply to give the feeling space. Let it breathe, let it move, let it soften. You're not releasing the person or the memory. You're releasing the tension around it. This is the heart of the practice. Letting go of the grip, not the love. Lifting the weight, not the connection. As your imaginary palm opens, notice what shifts inside your body. The shoulders relax, the chest loosens, the breath deepens, the mind becomes quieter. This is the body recognizing freedom. When you release the inner contraction, everything becomes lighter. Not because the situation changed, but because your relationship to it did. Open palm awareness reminds you that peace doesn't come from pushing things away. It comes from holding life gently, allowing emotions to move through you rather than hardening around them. In this softness, you rediscover a deeper truth. Letting go is not an ending. It's a returning to balance, to clarity, to yourself. 6. Why the mind fights reality. The root of impatience. Impatience rarely comes from the situation itself. It comes from the mind's quiet belief that life should be moving faster than it is. Think of a seed buried beneath winter soil. From the outside, nothing appears to be happening. The ground is cold, the world is still, and growth seems impossible. But beneath the surface, the seed is preparing, strengthening, rooting, gathering the energy it needs to break through when the season is right. If you dug it up too early, you would assume it wasn't growing at all, but the delay is part of its becoming. In the same way, our lives have seasons that don't look like progress, moments where nothing changes, nothing moves, and nothing seems to respond to our effort. But instead of trusting the natural timing of our growth, we panic. We demand results. We create internal deadlines. I should be healed by now. I should have moved on by now. This should have happened already. These expectations become the roots of impatience. When reality doesn't match the timeline we created in our minds, frustration appears, not because life is wrong, but because our imagined schedules are rigid. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from resisting the present moment. Impatience is simply resistance disguised as urgency. It's the mind saying, "This moment is not enough. The next moment will save me." But the more we fight the present, the heavier it becomes. We miss the softness, the instruction, the quiet preparation happening beneath the surface of our lives, just like the seed in winter. Modern psychology adds another layer. The brain is deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty. The amygdala interprets not knowing as danger, triggering restlessness and mental agitation. This is why waiting feels painful, not because of the waiting itself, but because the mind associates the unknown with risk. Impatience is the body's attempt to escape uncertainty, even when the uncertainty is harmless. When you understand this, impatience becomes less personal. You're not failing. You're simply responding to fear with old conditioning. The remedy is not force, but trust. Trust that seasons change. Trust that growth happens invisibly before it becomes visible. And trust that life doesn't delay your blessings. It prepares you for them. 7. Acceptance as inner strength, not surrender. Most people think acceptance means giving up, but in reality, acceptance is one of the strongest acts a human being can make. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is loud, the sky is dark, and instinct tells you to run. But running doesn't calm the storm, it only exhausts you. When you stop fleeing and choose instead to stand still, something shifts. The storm continues, but you are no longer fighting it. You are witnessing it. You are grounded. You are present. This is acceptance. Not collapse, but clarity. Not passivity, but courage. Acceptance does not mean you approve of the situation. It simply means you stop wasting energy resisting reality. When you accept what is, even if you wish it were different, your mind becomes clear enough to see the next step. Clarity always arrives the moment resistance softens. It's the tightness in the chest loosening. It's the breath deepening. It's the body finally releasing the tension it created in an attempt to control the uncontrollable. You can feel acceptance in the body long before the mind understands it. The shoulders drop, the jaw unclenches, the heartbeat slows. This is somatic awareness, the wisdom of the body speaking before words appear. The body always knows when the fight is unnecessary. It knows when you've been pushing too hard. It knows when your suffering is coming not from the situation, but from the refusal to let the moment be what it already is. Here is a simple practice to return to acceptance whenever you feel overwhelmed. Let the moment breathe. Stop whatever you are doing. Place one hand on your chest. Inhale slowly. As you exhale, say quietly in your mind, "Let this moment breathe." Do nothing else. Do not try to fix, force, or escape. Just let the moment exist without your interference. Observe how the tension softens on its own, how the storm inside you loses its power when you stop running from it. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the inner strength of someone who no longer fears reality. It is the courage to meet life as it is, and the wisdom to know that peace begins the moment resistance ends. 8. Returning to the present moment. The room you keep leaving. Imagine the present moment as a soft, quiet room inside you, a space where peace is already waiting. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be fixed. The air is calm, the light is gentle, and everything rests exactly where it should. This room is always open, always available, always safe. Yet the truth is, most of us keep walking out of it, not deliberately, but out of habit. The mind slips outside into corridors of fear, memories, imagination, stories, and endless what-ifs. We leave the soft room without even noticing, convinced the answer to our peace lies somewhere outside, when, in reality, it has been inside us the entire time. This is the nature of the wandering mind. It steps out of the present moment, searching for danger, opportunity, or possibility. It runs into the past, hoping to rewrite something. It leaps into the future, hoping to control something. But with every step away, the mind disconnects from the only place life is actually happening, right here. Mindfulness is simply the act of coming back home, not forcefully, not perfectly, just gently returning to the soft room each time you notice you've wandered. To help you return, here is a simple 10-second grounding practice you can use any time: breath, sound, body, environment. First, feel one slow inhale and one long exhale. Then, notice one sound around you, anything simple, like a faint hum or distant movement. Next, feel one sensation in your body: your hands resting, your feet touching the ground, the rise of your chest. Finally, take in one detail from your environment: the light, the air, the space around you. That's it. 10 seconds, and suddenly you're back in the room. Mindfulness is not about controlling the mind. It is about guiding it home again and again. Each return is a small act of self-kindness, a reminder that peace is not something you search for. It is something you remember. When you come back to the present moment, you step into the soft room where your true self has been waiting all along. 9. The illusion of control and the freedom beyond it. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, watching the waves rise and fall. Now imagine trying to straighten them, smoothing each ripple with your hands, demanding the water stay still, trying to force the tide to obey your will. No matter how hard you try, the waves won't freeze. They won't align into perfect, predictable shapes. The ocean moves according to its nature, not according to your effort. And yet, this is how many of us live. We try to straighten the waves of life, controlling conversations, outcomes, timelines, people, emotions, even the future itself. And when life refuses to obey, we feel anxious, overwhelmed, or defeated. Letting go is not giving up. It is simply the moment you stop trying to straighten the ocean. It is the moment you stop using your energy to fight what you cannot shape. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is the end of unnecessary suffering. It is the deep exhale after years of tightening your grip. When you let go of control, you don't lose power. You reclaim the power that was wasted on battles you could never win. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the need for control is a subtle form of fear. Fear that if you don't manage everything, life will fall apart. Fear that if you don't hold tightly, you won't be safe. Fear that uncertainty means danger. This fear creates a mental contraction, a tightening inside the mind and body. The more you cling to certainty, the more fragile you become. The world becomes a threat. Change becomes a threat. Even joy becomes a threat because the mind fears losing it. Control does not bring safety. It brings exhaustion. Modern psychology mirrors this perfectly. When life feels unpredictable, the brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone that prepares the body for threat. High cortisol makes you restless, suspicious, hyper-aware, always scanning for what might go wrong. The mind becomes allergic to uncertainty. It needs answers, clarity, timelines. This intolerance of not knowing is what fuels anxiety and impatience. But here's the deeper truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. Your relationship to it is. Freedom begins not when everything is known, but when you stop needing everything to be known. When you allow life to move like the ocean, unpredictable, mysterious, rhythmic. Something inside you softens, the breath deepens, the shoulders release, the heart feels safe enough to open again. Letting go is the quiet courage to trust the waves. It is choosing to float instead of fight. It is discovering that life carries you farther when you stop trying to control the tide. Here is Lesson 10, expanded to 500 words, deeply emotional, poetic, and fully aligned with your signature Buddhist tone. This section is crafted as a powerful emotional peak in the script, original, monetization safe, and deeply healing. 10. When letting go becomes a love language to yourself. Most people think letting go is something you do for others, to forgive them, to move on from them, to release them. But the deeper truth is this. Letting go is one of the greatest acts of self-kindness you will ever practice. It is not about being strong for the world. It is about being gentle with yourself. It is choosing to no longer carry what your heart was never meant to hold. It is recognizing that your inner peace matters too, and that protecting it is an expression of love, not weakness. Letting go is not abandonment. It is not turning your back on your story or pretending something didn't hurt. It is the opposite. It is turning toward yourself with honesty, tenderness, and warmth. It is saying, I deserve to feel light again. You are not letting go of the memory, the person, or the experience. You are letting go of the grip that has been hurting you. You are stepping out of the role of a self-punisher and returning to the role of a self-guardian. When you release something heavy, you are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself beneath the layers of tension, fear, expectations, and emotional residue. Letting go is a slow shedding, like peeling off weights you forgot you were wearing. Layer by layer, the pressure softens. Layer by layer, the breath deepens. Layer by layer, the heart remembers what peace feels like. This process is not sudden. It is not dramatic. Some days a weight lifts. Other days it returns. But every moment of softness is progress. Think of emotional weight like dust collecting on a window. A little each day, hardly noticeable. But eventually it dims the light. Letting go is the gentle act of wiping the window clean so your heart can see clearly again. It doesn't erase the past. It simply stops the past from blocking your view of the present. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the heart is naturally soft. Hardness is learned. We become rigid from holding on, from clinging, from bracing ourselves against life. But the moment we stop gripping, something miraculous happens. The heart softens on its own. You don't have to force it. You don't have to demand it. When holding stops, softness returns naturally, like water flowing back into a riverbed. Letting go is a love language because it communicates to your inner self. Your peace matters. It tells the wounded parts of you, you don't have to carry this alone anymore. It tells your future self, I am clearing space for joy, clarity, and new beginnings. And perhaps, most beautifully, it tells your present self, I am here for you. When you practice letting go, you are not weakening your heart. You are freeing it. You are making room for tenderness. You are creating the conditions for peace. And in that spaciousness, life becomes lighter, warmer, and infinitely more compassionate, beginning with how you treat yourself. Letting go, in the end, is the most loving gift you can give to your own soul. Take a quiet breath and let these words settle gently within you. You don't let go to erase life. You let go to let life move again. Every experience becomes lighter when you stop gripping it as if it defines you. Letting go isn't a goodbye to your story. It's a hello to your peace. You have carried far more than any one heart was meant to carry. Tonight, allow yourself to set one stone down. Just one. The heart does not heal through force. It heals through softness, through releasing a little at a time, through choosing rest where you once chose resistance. Peace isn't something you chase. It's what rises when your hands stop gripping the past. When the mind loosens, the breath deepens. When the breath softens, the heart opens. Peace isn't far. It's beneath what you've been holding. So tonight, choose one place in your heart to soften. Just one. Let the softness be your practice, a breath of ease, a small surrender, a moment of warmth toward yourself. This is enough. And if this brought clarity or comfort, like, share, or subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom spoken softly to your soul. Your peace matters. Your journey matters. Thank you for allowing these words to walk with you tonight.